All right, Principles of Hospitality crew, we are going to take a look at emerging trends in the hospitality industry. So for this presentation, we're going to identify some major trends. We're going to list some characteristics of the millennial generation, which is becoming an emerging and more popular generation in the hospitality industry. Recognize trends in hotel brands and customizing service experiences as people want more and more customized service. Identify the impact of the sharing economy, the disruption economy, and technology with travelers, and identify environmental trends affecting hospitality companies. So first, let's take a look at millennials. These are people who are born between 1980 and 1994, so you might include yourself among them, or you might be just out of that bracket as as they become continually more adept, older, and also have the ability to have some disposable income. These individuals are generally willing to splurge for certain experiences. They may have seen their parents go through a generational change where their parents worked and worked and worked until they got to retirement and were unable to enjoy that retirement. And so the millennials, in turn, are more likely to splurge now to have the experience now. Their expectations include technology. They're very tech savvy. So they want to use technology to power the check-in experience, payment, dining, shopping. There's a lot of apps now in restaurants where you can actually show up, pay on your phone, and leave without really even having to have a server do any checkout. Similarly, those tablet devices on the Applebee's tables. And also check-ins at hotels now, a lot are being done by self-service check-in points or on your phone as well too, where your phone serves as your hotel room key. So another emerging trend is health and well-being, especially in the hotel sector. Healthier eating and lifestyles continue to gain wide popularity. So in the restaurant industry, of course, we see a lot of whole, real, local ingredients. And in the hotel sector, what they're doing is a lot of wellness side items. So you can see some pictures there, like the New Balance and Westin partnership, in which they lend workout gear to the individuals. I'll say that's a very nice addition to the hotels when you are staying there, so you don't have to bring all of your own workout gear and get it all sweaty and have to take care of it and clean it before you move on to your next travel destination. It's nice to have those items that you can use and then drop right back off. Other items, the Get Fit kit by Omni Hotels and Resorts includes a kit which you can get a yoga mat, foam roller, push-up bar, the medicine balls delivered directly to your room or to you to bring up to your room. All are great ideas to try and create wellness. You can see some hotels even offer Peloton bikes either in the room or you can get them by request as well, so that you can keep your wellness routine while you're traveling. Because as they pitch in a lot of the websites for these organizations, it's very hard to keep your routine, that is your workout routine, when you are traveling as well, especially for work. So there are some generalized hotel brands as well. So these are full hotels that are designed on the idea of wellness. And so we see with the IHG brands, even hotels where they have in-room training zones, like those Peloton bikes or the medicine balls, group classes, personalized activities are provided at their wellness centers as well, because we're seeing more and more group class workout activity. And so they're trying to jump on that trend as well. Starwood's Element brand also has natural and healthy ingredients in meals as part of their psychological or emotional wellness. They also allow dogs to come to the hotels. And there's also spa and fitness centers as well. A third trend is the disruption in sharing economy. So we're all familiar with companies like Uber and Lyft, and other on-demand services that are available at the click of your phone, grocery delivery, those types of things. So it helps with the transportation, getting people to and from our hospitality sites, whether they be restaurants, sporting venues, hotels, or even the airport. Another is on-demand workers. So we can actually see in the hospitality sector, we can uh, use things like Snagajob or others where we're getting people on demand who've already kind of gone through a baseline background check and are able to work on a short-term basis. If something pop up at the last minute, it's easy to find some workers for your hospitality organization. And finally, accommodations. Of course, with third-party sites, like the Kayaks, Pricelines of the world, a majority of booking is being done on these sites, and it allows some form of consistency because hotels can sell a block of rooms to these third-party sites, or otherwise allow them or farm out the process of trying to find the best revenue per room. Additionally, in the disruption sharing economy, here again are some examples. We have Uber, Lyft, Sidecar in the transportation business. And then, we have the independent contract model, which is very similar to Uber. That's going to be through those apps for individuals for hire as well, too, those on-demand workers. Additionally, we have alternative accommodations, which is also included in the disruption and sharing economy. So this is preference for websites like Airbnb, VRBO, Couchsurfing, Flipkey, Base Days, so on and so forth. So these are generally other accommodations which go direct to an individual, to their home, and some are offered for free like Couchsurfing or offered for a charge. And this is a trend because people are trying to get closer and closer to the authentic experience of the local, no matter where they travel. And oftentimes that means staying with a local in one of these types of settings. Next up then is a trend with environmental awareness and global uncertainties. This has really, taken off since the 90s, early 2000s, and continued. There's a greater understanding of environmental science and technology and the impact on hospitality. We have a lot of things like slow tourism or others from the consumer side that puts a lot of the pressure on organizations to have such projects like corporate social responsibility, where they are offsetting some of the carbon footprint of their guests, greenwashing, weather and pollution. Greenwashing, by the way, is the practice of making an unsubstantiated or misleading claim about the environmental benefits of a product, service, technology, or company. Weather and pollution, the political environment that we're in now also plays an effect on the hospitality industry, ethnic, cultural, and religious tensions, and finally, economic stability shifts. Corporate social responsibility really is this kind of catch-all term for trying to consider all of the factors so listed. So the market, ethics, sincerity, resources, goals, long-term. A note on sincerity, the social responsibility has to be something that the consumer actually believes is sustainable or responsible, or ultimately you haven't made a good impression and you've actually detracted from your brand if you are looking like you're greenwashing or looking like you're doing something that is just not authentic and not actually meaningful for the environment. So, but this kind of evolved out of the triple bottom line accounting mechanism where we're thinking about people, we're thinking about profit, and we're also thinking about the environment. So this is kind of an extension of that to include many other items like ethics, responsibility, and sustainability ultimately. The next trend is just the overall explosion of tourism with a lot of these on-demand websites and apps and those types of things, and also a higher disposable income and a more willingness to travel further distances. And really, that can stem back to the introduction of the internet and how it's broken down barriers for people to have the confidence and the trust to be able to communicate with people across barriers and also to travel across those barriers without worry. So much so that the tourism has doubled in the last 2 decades. This has led to some issues about overcrowding. So that goes back to that sustainability issue. So a great example of that is the state of Hawaii and how troublesome it can be when, the old adage is about, let's think about every person that comes to Hawaii. And if every person that takes a trip to Hawaii takes one seashell off of the seashore, well, what's going to happen sustainably to that very limited resource that is Hawaii? Well, what will happen ultimately is the environmental degradation of that area. So it's important that we also consider, with the rapid amount of tourism and tourists, to consider how overcrowding will affect your hospitality business and to try and counteract that. Also, highly developed nations or new highly developed nations, we can think of places like Brazil or China or India, who have continued to become higher and higher economic uh, uh, powerhouses, and they can account for most of the tourism growth in especially to the United States, and they often spend most of any tourists because these are, generally speaking, people of higher socioeconomic status who are able to travel from said countries who weren't able to, perhaps weren't able to before, and they're spending a lot of money to have that experience again, especially if they're in that millennial, like we talked about before, wanting to spend anything for experience. They tend to buy more luxury items than all other tourists combined. So we definitely want to make sure to keep an eye out for our international guests too, and how important they are, not just to our economy, but also to enriching our tourism experience. Often it's important to cater our services towards them, make sure that we have translation services just as one simple eradication of a barrier for delivering the highest quality hospitality. Let's talk about brand power. Hotels can grow in size and strength. They can do this as a result of mergers and acquisitions. So that's when two hospitality companies merge together to try and compete against another company, or they can do it by buying off other companies. In some ways, they do that is when larger hotel companies offer economics or economies of scale, and that's the ability to grow a brand which is quite small to a much larger item. And often that is because of the larger hotel companies' brand power, their ability to sell their brands. So let's say Hilton buys up a small hotel. Well, people already recognize Hilton. They also have all of the systems set up behind the house in order for them to succeed from day one, rather than having to still figure out the system needs as well. Finally, conversion of independent to branded properties, and we're going to take a look at a little bit of this as well. Brand power changes can happen through conversion. So an example of that is the Copley Plaza, which was an independent hotel, becoming the Fairmont Copley or Copley. Additionally, there was a hotel down in Madison, Wisconsin that just changed from the Park Hotel to the Best Western Park Hotel as well. It's a way of honoring the previous hotel with also integrating it into the brand name. So kind of using the history of the building, and they pair it with that brand power that's already established. Additionally, they can change power jointly. That's when independents keep their name and the name of the larger property, so, similar to that case like the Best Western. Then also they can align, and this is when alliance brands of larger brands uh, like the Boston's Liberty Hotel joined Starwood's luxury collection. So it's going to keep that name for the most part, but then include the words luxury collection in addition to its previous name. Furthermore, technology, of course, is a trend. We mentioned this at the beginning as well. Technology continues to get faster and more sophisticated, and this impacts, of course, the hospitality industry. We are technology driven, self-sufficient travelers nowadays, and those travelers have many devices and are able to make travel plans from pretty much anywhere. I've been on planes that I booked at the last minute, and I've been able to book my hostel or hotel stay while I'm on the plane, or while I'm waiting at the airport as well. It's amazing how fast this connectivity can happen. Can be concluded. And so it's true that people are able to make travel plans from anywhere, and that connectivity is crucial. So it's important to establish a technology infrastructure where people are able to have Wi-Fi, have connection everywhere, especially when traveling abroad, to ease the burden for the customers as well. And that's why you see, of course, hotels and others offering free Wi-Fi and other services which used to be paid per use as well. There's also a changing online distribution landscape. We mentioned places like Priceline, Booking.com, TripAdvisor, those businesses which are third-party sites but allow people to do their booking with comparing many places at one particular setting. Power of social networks. So social networks, of course, in the technology world, Twitter, there was Tumblr, used to be MySpace back in the day, but now, of course, we have Facebook and the others. That allows for rapid word of mouth, not just word of mouth, but rapid word of mouth that happens instantaneously, and people become the ambassadors or the enemies towards your brand at a very quick fashion. And so leveraging that social networking to be able to create those ambassadors and also to recover on service recoveries when something goes wrong, those moments of truth that we talk about, so that you can manage your online reputation through those social media avenues. Through this all, another trend is, as we mentioned with some of the sustainability and corporate social responsibility initiatives, is the customization, optimization, and what that really means is providing a positive customer experience to what they want and an authentic experience which highlights the local attributes of the area. Ultimately, this is what the consumer is looking forward to. We're going to get more in depth with some of those items and how we can do that and how we can use customization, optimization of technology to follow the customer even before they come to your operation all the way through to after, to see how we can create more meaningful experiences personalized for that individual. So in summary, when we're looking at the trends of hospitality, knowledge of hospitality trends is important, very important to stay competitive in the industry. And with technology, individual customization to the customer, changing market demographics, varied products and services, and the sharing or disruption economy, these are all going to continue to rise and be very important parts of your hospitality management experience. And so it's important that you continue to stay abreast of the trends in the industry.